The Atlanta Falcons hosting this divisional round playoff game. They've been so dominant here at home. Over the last 5 years under head coach Mike Smith, already the winningest head coach in Falcons history. They've won 33 of the 40 games they played here at home. Pete Carroll, 61 years young, grew up in San Francisco. In his third year and has turned around a veteran roster into the second youngest team in the league. He was forced to bring in a new kicker this week after the injury to Steven Hauschka. Ryan Longwell, the longtime Packer, puts a foot on it, and we're underway. Jaquiz Rodgers, 2 yards out of the end zone. And he is tripped up at the 25 as Atlanta won the toss and elected to receive. They are led by the #1 pick back in 2008, Matt Ryan. And plenty of weapons all around him.
Boy, do they. Roddy White and Julio Jones have better than 2,500 yards on the year. Future Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez and Jaquiz Rodgers may end up being the lead back in today's running attack.
Matt Ryan had his best season in the NFL, but today faces one of the most rugged defenses he has encountered all year long. Short drop, and trying to go up top, and beautifully defended by Richard Sherman, one of the two big, tall, strong cornerbacks in this #1 scoring defense.
Well, they're without defensive end Chris Clemens, and that's going to hurt. Cam Chancellor may get the duty of trying to cover Tony Gonzalez. Earl Thomas holds the back end together, but Richard Sherman leads this team in interceptions with 8.
Sherman step for step there with Julio Jones. Second down and 10, and Turner. Strong running. All the way up to the 40-yard line. That is a 15-yard run by Turner, who has really been slowed down as this season has gone on.
Yeah, but Pete Carroll told us, I'm not buying into that. Michael Turner is a load. If he gets into the second level, that's where some of those secondary guys start to make those business decisions and waits for somebody else to tackle him.
Well put. Turner once more. Cuts it back to the inside, and this time no room. Led by the rookie Bobby Wagner. So much talk about the rookie quarterback Russell Wilson. Bobby Wagner, a second-round pick out of Utah State, set an all-time Seahawks rookie record with 140 tackles on the year.
This is a lot to put on a rookie, but I tell you what, this entire team that Pete Carroll has put together, he has great confidence in his young players to step up to the task.
Jaquiz Rodgers checks into the backfield. Wide open. Tony Gonzalez. 200th consecutive game with a reception, including the playoffs, but of course the postseason for Gonzalez. He's played in 5 of these games and never come away with a win.
Well, everybody talked about with these big corners of Seattle, okay, you can handle Julio Jones, you can handle Roddy White. The question becomes, what do you do with Tony Gonzalez? What do you do with Harry Douglas? What about Jaquiz Rodgers coming out of the backfield? This is a lot of weapons this Atlanta offense has to throw at you.
Douglas in motion, and they pitch it to Rodgers, and that'll be a gain of close to 9. Everybody talks about Atlanta throwing the football a lot, Brian, and while Michael Turner individually did not have the kind of numbers he's had since coming here from San Diego, as a team, they still ran for better than 1,200 yards.
Yeah, they're 29th in the league in rushing, and they haven't run the ball real well, but that doesn't mean they're not committed to it, and that's the important thing. Mike Smith, the head coach, is going to make sure that they keep the right balance, even though their strength clearly is in the passing game.
Rodgers once more takes a pitch, cuts it back to the inside, and is denied first down yardage. So the Falcons face a third down. Big Red Bryant, the defensive team captain of the Seattle Seahawks, there to make the tackle.
Third down's obviously going to be the key. Atlanta is second in the league in third down conversion. And more importantly, the Atlanta defense is last in the league in 3rd and 10. If Matt Ryan can steal a couple possessions, meaning extending the drive on third down, it could be key in winning the game today.
Jason Snelling, 44, checks into the backfield for the first time. And you get a look at Gonzalez. Take the run. Ryan rolling. And that is a catch by Roddy White for a first down.
This route by Roddy White, this is their wheelhouse. This comeback route between Roddy White and Matt Ryan. I promise you that ball was on the way before Roddy White even made his break. They make a living off this. They think and see things the same way.
Atlanta has been so good on its opening possession over the course of this season. They've scored more touchdowns and scored more points than any team in the NFL. Rodgers slips through a couple of tacklers. He's to the 22. The Seattle team, you may remember, in the win over Washington last week, it did not start well. The Redskins' first 2 drives leading to touchdowns, 80 yards, 54 yards. But, man, they clamped down thereafter.
Tom, we talked about confidence in this game. One thing Pete Carroll knows, that his team's not going to blink. We've been there. We've stood at the abyss and come back away. We were down 14-0 on the road. Yeah, we don't want to give them a score here, but if they do, we're not going to panic.
Second down and 5. Turner looking for a cutback. There's just no room there.
Tom, we're in that territory now. We've talked about the big physical corners of the Seattle Seahawks, and there are none bigger. These guys are all 6'2", 6'3", but this may be the biggest receiving core they face so far this year. Julio Jones, Roddy White on the outside. Down here, we may see them challenge the bump and run of the Seattle Seahawks and take a shot into the end zone.
3rd and 3, 10th play of the drive. Pump fake twice. And batted down. How about the play by Sherman? Closing speed in the end zone. Maybe a hair late on the throw.
It was. Roddy White had this beat with the little stutter move. But Matt Ryan, because of the play fake, got pushed around the pocket, and the ball was just late enough for the very tall, the very athletic, and the very confident Richard Sherman to close the distance and knock it down.
Matt Ryan, 33 of 38 during the regular season. He only missed once all year long in this Georgia Dome inside of 40. Good snap, good hold, and the Falcons come away with points on their opening drive.
Wide receiver coach Terry Rabisky is explaining to Roddy White why the ball was late. He's showing that Matt Ryan, after a double fake, had to step away from a rush on the outside, had to pump it, and why the ball was late.
3-0 Atlanta. Leon Washington, among the most dangerous kickoff returners in the NFL, brings this one and decides to take a knee. Russell Wilson won his playoff debut in Washington. What's in store for the Richmond, Virginia native today in Atlanta? One of the great stops here in Atlanta. If you're ever in town, go by the Georgia Aquarium. On first down, Marshawn Lynch looking for running room and not much there. John Abraham slowed him down, forcing him back to the inside. Lynch rushed for nearly 1,600 yards.
John Abraham setting that edge. That's going to be so important in today's game. Force Marshawn Lynch back into the teeth of this Atlanta Falcons defense.
Rookie quarterback Russell Wilson puts it in the hands once more of Lynch. at the line of scrimmage by the duo of Akeem Dent and Stephen Nicholas in a 3rd down and long right from the get-go.
Well, for Seattle, you got to begin with Pro Bowl left tackle Russell Okung. Obviously, Marshawn Lynch better than 1,500 yards. Zach Miller, watch for him on 3rd down. He was a big factor in the Washington win. And Ryan Longwell, Tom, you already talked about it. He's here because of his 16 years experience.
Great protection. The throw is high and it's 3 out. Only 3 plays, but a very impressive start for Atlanta. Especially being able to bottle up Lynch on back-to-back carries. Trying Ryan on the punt. Harry Douglas standing back at his own 30-yard line and a flag. And already jawing going on.
Start, number 54, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Now, we saw a lot of talking very early throughout the entire day. The Seahawks in Washington last week, and right from the start, Jermaine Kearse and Dominique Franks giving it to one another.
Well, this is a chippy group in Seattle. You know, you look at the game against Washington, they weren't natural rivals. It was unusually chippy for 2 teams new to one another. I expected to see the same thing today.
Short punt. And a poor punt by Ryan. Great field position for Matt Ryan and the Falcons, looking to build on a 3-0 lead. This ball will be spotted at the 50 to the dismay of Pete Carroll. Only a 30-yard punt. With Brian Billick, Laura Oakman, Chris Myers, I'm Tom Brenneman. Our entire crew watching as Zach Miller, starting tight end, who had a couple of big receptions last week in a win over Washington, heads for the Seahawks locker room. Turner already his 4th carry of the game, and he picks up maybe 2.
That could be huge for Seattle if Zach Miller doesn't return, Tom. We've talked about how important he was in the 3rd down package. 2 big conversions last week against Washington. Once they had gotten down 14-0, to allow them to fight their way back, he would be a big loss for them.
Fake the pitch, come back the other way to Julio Jones. And he's a couple of yards shy of a 1st down. Julio Jones on his way to his 1st Pro Bowl, and this is his 2nd year out of Alabama. They traded up to get him. And certainly a chance to become one of the great receivers in the NFL in the not-too-distant future.
They felt like he was that last missing piece for Matt Ryan. And when you take a franchise quarterback with the 3rd overall pick like Matt Ryan, you got to surround him with people. They felt what they paid was well worth it to go get a Julio Jones. And so far, they've been right.
3rd and 3. Bunch formation at the top of your screen. Blitz coming. Ryan gets it away, and it's intercepted. Bobby Wagner at the 32-yard line. And after getting great field position, after a poor punt, Ryan turns it over. The turnover by Matt Ryan into the waiting arms of the rookie Bobby Wagner. He had 3 interceptions during the regular season. 2nd possession for Seattle. They begin from the 33. Play fake. Batted down. Witherspoon.
Let's go back to the interception. You're going to see Guy and Trufant come off the edge. That tells Matt Ryan, I've got man coverage here. But then at the very top, Tony Gonzalez hesitates a little bit. I think it threw Matt Ryan off, and he got out in front of him. that allowed Bobby Wagner to step in for the interception.
Zach Miller injured his foot. His return questionable. Anthony McCoy is back up in the game at tight end. Play fake once more. All day to throw for Wilson. Still looking around, and now he'll take off and nothing but pay dirt. A first down to midfield.
This is the ultimate in coverage sack, obviously. They've got it pinned off. They can't find the underneath receiver. The tight end's chip, and then he's going to release. He's taken care of by Witherspoon. And back on the strong side, they bottle up the two-man combination. How many times did we see this last night with Colin Kaepernick with no place to go, take it off for a big gain?
17-yard pickup by Wilson. Lynch escapes one tackle, and he's inside the 40. Ball is loose. Atlanta has recovered. That was the initial signal given by the first official. Now a second official gets it correct and turns the other way as well. Lynch, who had the fumble at the 2-yard line in Washington last week, coughs it up in Atlanta territory here. Second straight playoff game, a fumble from Marshawn Lynch. And now Ryan. Perfect throw. And the catch by Julio Jones to the Seattle 48-yard line.
Tom, I talked about the swarming defense of the Atlanta Falcons. Look how many red jerseys are around this. Shashawn Witherspoon creating the fumble, and then it looks like Babineau jumped on it. But look at all these red jerseys. This is how they live. They've got to get more people on the point of attack because they are undersized. Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator, doing a great job.
Ryan looking for the home run ball for Roddy White. And it's incomplete. And once more, that's Richard Sherman, who tied for the second most interceptions in the NFL with 8. Sherman, an alternate to the Pro Bowl, and many feel had he not been suspended for testing positive on a drug test. He, of course, appealed that decision. It was overturned late in the year, but many feel like had that not occurred, he would be in the Pro Bowl.
He's playing at an elite level. He and Browner together, maybe the 2 biggest corners in the league.
Let's go. Green Tampa! Green Tampa! Green Tampa! Let's go!
Turner. And he's dragged down behind by Wagner, and that'll be a horse collar on Bobby Wagner.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle, number 54 of the defense. 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
That'll take it down to the 30.
This is so tough when you're trying to bring down a big back like Michael Turner. Wagner here just grabbing onto anything he can. Unfortunately, you can't get your hand in behind the shoulder pads of a ball carrier. Big penalty that now automatically puts them, at the very least, in field goal position.
And actually inside the 30 of the 29-yard line. First down for the Falcons. Closing in on 5 minutes to play in this opening quarter, and Atlanta trying to build on a 3-0 lead.
Green meat! Green meat! Green meat! Meat!
Rodgers with nowhere to go. Let's go down on the field to Laura Oakman.
Brian, you and I talked all week about the big test for Matt Ryan would be after he threw his first interception. If he did, would that playoff history come into his mind? After he threw that pick, came over to the bench. The first thing he did was break up a confrontation between Roddy White and receiver coach Terry Robisky, who had to literally be pulled away from each other. Calmed Roddy down, told him to get back to calming himself down and to do his job. We're seeing what he's doing on the field. He was leading the guys off of it.
Second down and 9. Thrown into traffic. Trying to fit it in there to Julio Jones, but K.J. Wright had him blanketed from behind. You know, Matt Ryan, talk about 3 playoff appearances, 3 losses, has not thrown for 200 yards in any of the 3 games. Just 3 touchdowns and now 5 interceptions. And of course, those are nowhere near the numbers he has during the regular year.
And Laura's exactly right. Matt Ryan has been at this long enough to know I've got to focus at the task at hand. The big test was, what am I going to do after I throw a pick? It doesn't hurt that the defense gets it right back for you, causing a fumble.
They get it off. Penalty flag will whistle it before it ever gets started.
False start, number 66, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Walt Coleman, our referee. Now you talk about a team that infrequently makes mental mistakes like that. Smart teams, disciplined teams win a lot of games. And Atlanta this year set an NFL record for the fewest penalties in a season and the fewest penalty yards in a season by any team.
And they do, in doing so, they've kept themselves out of these 3rd and 14s that they're facing right now because they've not backed themselves up with that type of discipline.
All day to throw it. And that's Roddy White. And he appears to have enough for a 1st down. 16 yards to Roddy White.
Well, you can see Roddy White scraping to get to the inside. One way to stay away from these big corners outside, go into the middle of the field, where now Winston Guy and Marcus Trufant, who aren't quite as big as Browner and Sherman, have to match up with the talented, athletic, and big Roddy White.
First down throw, Ryan looking to the end zone. And it is a catch at the 1-yard line by Chase Kaufman. There is a penalty flag down. Kaufman caught 1 pass during the regular season. 1.
Holding, number 25, on the defense. The penalty's declined. Play results in a 1st down.
Well, first off, what a phenomenal catch and throw for Kaufman and Matt Ryan. Those are the type of throws you expect seen thrown to Tony Gonzalez. He doesn't have a lot of practice with Kaufman throwing in just that area. Looks like he's got control. The foot scrapes. I think that's a good catch.
Clearly both feet inbounds when Kaufman made the catch. 1st and goal from the 1. Ryan to Tony Gonzalez and a touchdown.
Right on the end line. What a magnificent throw and catch. Right foot down, left foot down. The future Hall of Famer has got yet another touchdown on his resume.
Gonzalez said at the beginning of the year he was 95% sure that he was going to hang it up. At the end of this year, Mike Smith told us he's clinging to that other 5%.
Hey, at least it's not 100%. I'd hold on to it.
Point after by Bryant is good. 10-0. Atlanta in the opening quarter of this divisional round playoff with a trip to the NFC Championship game on the line. After the fumble by Lynch, 8 plays, 61 yards. Gonzalez, a 1-yard touchdown reception. Seattle fell behind 14-0 last week in Washington. They trailed 10-0 in Atlanta in round 2.
And we talked about if that were to happen to Seattle, they've been there. They're going to have confidence in that. But obviously, the cross-country trip to Washington, go back to Seattle, the cross-country trip to Atlanta. This crowd needs to know they can physically wear this Seattle team out if they can keep this kind of pressure, and it will show up in the 4th quarter.
Washington has returned 8 kickoffs for touchdowns, but 2 in a row now he's been unable to bring it out of there. Fox UFC Saturday returns January the 26th, a championship fight. Demetrius Johnson puts his title on the line against John Dodson. Rampage Jackson returns to take on Glover Teixeira. This is not a pay-per-view event. It's live, it's free, and it's on Fox. January 27th, 26th, 8 p.m. Eastern. Fox UFC Saturday is back. A pair of 3-and-outs. Pair of 3-play drives. Wilson had the 17-yard run, now looking to throw. And the catch is made, and you got it. Zach Miller is okay. He's back in the game after injuring his foot on the opening drive.
They bring Zach Miller out of the bunch. He starts inside like he's going to cross and then just nods and goes back to the outside. Atlanta's defense lost track of the depth of the tight end, Zach Miller.
Gain of 23 up to the 43. Wilson gets it away, and once more it's Miller on the receiving end. That'll be a gain of 8. 11 quarterbacks were taken in the 2012 NFL draft. 4 in the first round, 1 in the second round. Seattle chose Russell Wilson with a 75th overall pick in the third round. 5 of those quarterbacks started their team's season opener. Wilson, the only rookie playing this weekend. Back in the hands of Lynch, and that's a first down run. Spins his way inside the 45, and we welcome back Chris Myers.
Well, Tom, Pete Carroll said before the game, we don't want to hear any excuses about a slow start, cross-country travel, and Eastern time zone. But one thing that we did see, Sidney Rice, nobody came over to Marshawn Lynch after his fumble, but after the Seahawks fell down 10-0 behind in the score, Sidney Rice ran over to Russell Wilson and said, here we go again.
Chris, thank you. Great to have Chris Myers with us this season. We had 7 Seahawks games along with Tim Ryan this year here on Fox. That's a gain of 3 on first down. You talk about making that trip. 4 teams from the West Coast have gone back and forth into the Eastern time zone in back-to-back weekends. The 1989 Rams are the only team among the 4 that has won back-to-back weekends going to the Eastern time zone. That's a long time ago.
And any team naturally will say, we don't want to talk about it. We don't need to acknowledge it. You're right. But it's like playing in the heat. When it's hot, you cannot think about it, but it's still hot.
Wilson rolling, and this is what he does. And just gets rid of it. Jonathan Babineau and Croy Bierman both applying pressure. 3rd down and 8.
This is a nice job by the front 4 of the Atlanta Falcons. You can see they're keeping eyes on Russell Wilson. The thing you're concerned with is when you got an athletic quarterback and you've got to be patient with your pass rush. Does that take a little off the edge? Yeah, it does, but you better not lose vision on it.
Complete with an eye on Golden Tate. The Seahawks will punt. Well, we talked about the Seattle defense giving up the 2 touchdown drives last week in Washington. Bear in mind, the Seahawks offense in that first quarter had 9 yards in the first quarter. They piled up 172 in the second quarter.
They also saw that RG3 was limping around a little bit, and that had to give them confidence. So far, I don't see anybody on that Atlanta sideline limping around.
It's down to the 13-yard line. We'd always and will always Welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching our telecast in 175 countries and abroad, ships at sea on AFM, the American Forces Network. We cannot thank you for all you do. God bless you all, watch over you, keep you well, representing and standing tall for the greatest country in the world.
I get to take a trip down to Guantanamo Bay in the off-season
Really?
time. I'm really looking forward to meeting the troops down there and having a chance to show our appreciation for the job that they do.
Well, you've done that before, though.
Had spent 14 days in Iraq. It was a life-changing experience meeting our young people.
Well, we hope all of them are enjoying today's game. Those that have served, are serving, and will serve. Rodgers, look at that collision, and runs through the defender. And now Rodgers crossing the 50, all the way to the 41-yard line. Oh, goodness, he steamrolled Earl Thomas.
Are we sure that's Jacquez Rodgers? That looks more like Marshawn Lynch. That looks more like Michael Turner. Watch this. You don't expect this kind of power in this Lynch-esque type of run. He's running over people. He's running through people. This is why I said coming into the game, we may see Jacquez Rodgers more in this role as the game continues.
End of the first quarter, 10-0 Atlanta.
Well, they're having to rewrap those pads on Jacquez Rodgers because that rattled him now. He kept going. I'd have to have more than my pads readjusted after a hit like that.
That is a career best run for Rodgers, 45 yards. And here we go to begin the second quarter at the Georgia Dome. And the home team with a 10-0 lead and on the move. Blitz coming. Atlanta picks it up looking for Julio Jones. And once more it's Sherman step for step.
We got to go back to that play. Jacquez Rodgers, you're going to see Earl Thomas come up and boom. Now Earl Thomas isn't one of the big DBs that Seattle has, but Jacquez Rodgers is 5'6". And boy, when you're built that low to the ground and running with those legs, God, you got to love that. That is helping set the tone. People wondered if the Atlanta Falcons could truly run the ball against this big physical Seattle defense. And so far, it is the running game that has got them with a 10-0 lead.
Back down. Back down. Let it go.
Roddy White to the 40. Gain of 2. It'll bring a third down and long. Seattle defense, 4th overall, #1 scoring defense, allowing just 15 points per game. Very stingy against both the run and the pass, but already Atlanta, 83 rushing yards. And Bryant, I'm not sure anybody saw that coming.
Well, what it tells Seattle is that you're going to have to bring more people down than you thought you had to bring down to account for the run. That's going to set up the play-action pass on the outside.
Timeout, Seattle. 3rd down and 8 when we return. Welcome back to the Georgia Dome. And Brian, we talked about it from the very beginning. The pressure on this Atlanta team. They've won more games than any other NFC team over the last 5 years in the regular season. A very good start in pursuit of that first playoff win.
Yeah, 2 significant things. They overcame the interception by Matt Ryan and the way they're running the ball. I don't know that Seattle really expected this to happen.
Averaging over 8 yards per carry. Crossing pattern. Julio Jones will get the first down. Needed to reach a 32. Tackled at the 30.
Just a simple crossing route. We talked about the downfield game of Roddy White and Julio Jones. One of the easiest thing to do, to run away from these big corners and just cross the field. This is a big, strong receiver. As I said, I don't know that Seattle has seen a receiving core that can match their size the way the Atlanta Falcons can.
Turner. That's a good solid carry on first down. He brings it down to the 26-yard line, a gain of a little better than 4.
Well, just the sheer power. I've not seen this type of power in Michael Turner all season long. Tom, we had a lot of their games last year, and we saw this time and time again. Michael Turner, one of those backs that can wear you out. Just haven't seen it much this year. Boy, are we seeing it today.
6 carries, 28 yards for Turner. Everybody talks about this aerial attack, but really you go back to when Mike Smith arrived and Matt Ryan arrived in 2008. That's the year that Turner arrived. They fake it to him. And did Gonzalez make the catch? Wow, he did. To the 21. About a half yard short of a first down.
This is spectacular. You hear all the time, the word in the NFL now for defenders is guys that can play long, meaning long arms, make it small windows. Well, this is a tight end that can play long. That had no business being completed, but it was the long arms, the focus, and the beautiful hands of Tony Gonzalez that got that completion.
Green team! Green team!
Third and a yard. This was a problem down for the Falcons this season. Well, they pick it up here. Well, we talked about Turner, and Bryant, to get back to him for a minute. You know, this is a guy you brought in from San Diego as LaDainian Tomlinson's backup. 5 years ago, he's rushed for over 6,000 yards and 60 touchdowns. And maybe while he's not this year what he's been the last number of years, he has been a huge part of this Atlanta franchise turnaround.
Well, he's in his 9th year, and that's typically when backs tend to slow down. Now, early in his career, he wasn't a 300-carry guy. He was a backup in San Diego. But the last couple of years, he's been over 300 carries. That is wear and tear on the body.
Rodgers getting some of the load again here today, and he's to the 16-yard line. That'll be a gain of 3.
You have to give credit to the offensive line of the Atlanta Falcons here as well. They're a group that a lot of the blame with the lack of the running game has fallen on their shoulders. Yeah, they've protected Matt Ryan pretty well, but they've been labeled not as physical a group, but we're seeing some physicality here against a big, physical Seattle Seahawks defense.
Ryan looking, and now he'll slide short of a first down. Chris Myers.
Well, Tom, the excitement and energy on the Seattle sideline at the start of the game has waned here. Usually Russell Wilson, he's up moving, discussing, talking with players. He's been sitting quietly and staring, mostly watching. Not a lot of energy right now on this young football team. Let's go back upstairs.
You know, to that end, we've talked about the travel and the back-to-back for Seattle. I'm not sure the next series, if I'm Atlanta, I don't come out in a little no huddle. I'm going to increase the pace even more because I think right now you are seeing a little bit of that fatigue on the part of the Seattle Seahawks.
3rd down and 2. Atlanta 4 of 6 on 3rd down so far. An early movement. Uncharacteristic of this Atlanta team.
False start, number 77. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Tom, you talked about the lack of penalties has been a big part of it here for this Atlanta Falcon team, a record-setting lack of penalties, and we've already seen 2 in this game.
So 3rd and 2 now goes to 3rd and 7. Rodgers will leave in favor of Jason Snelling. Look at that time on the field for the Seattle defense, over 14 minutes. Screen to the receiver White and snipped out beautifully by Brandon Browner.
This is a nice job. Watch Browner here, seeing what's going on. They've seen these wide screens and just pulling the trigger.
That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Well, late flag thrown in, but declined after the tackle, denying first down yardage by Browner. Boy, what a find he was. Undrafted coming out of college. Was cut by Denver. Spent 4 years in the Canadian Football League. Seattle brought him in last year, and he went to the Pro Bowl.
Pete Carroll said he missed on him at USC, and the kid ends up going to Oregon State and was beating him right and left. He says, I'm not going to miss my second chance at this young man.
37-yard field goal try by Matt Bryant. And that is hammered right down the middle. 2:13 to play until halftime. All Atlanta trying to get the monkey off its back and get a playoff win.
Well, this is reminiscent of last week with that tough start in Washington. There again, they've been there, done that. We're going to see if they can emotionally rebound the way they did last week against Washington.
Do you get the feeling, though, Brian, this is an important offensive series, and for no other reason, confidence?
They've got to show that they can do something else other than hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch.
Now Washington's going to bring it out deep from his own end zone, and he spins his way up to the 30-yard line. Of course, next Sunday, waiting the winner of this one, Frank Gore and the 49ers. And then which team will advance on to the Super Bowl? It's the NFC Championship game next Sunday, 2 Eastern Time, only on Fox. (13-0) Falcons. Wilson and the Seahawks from the 30. More, it's Miller, a huge gain down the middle of the field. Brian, you thought he would be a big factor coming into this game, and so far he has been.
Well, what's happening is the entire front seven plus the safety of the Atlanta Falcons were up in the box to account for Marshawn Lynch, and that's what allowed Zach Miller to get in behind it to that second level. That's twice now we've seen the Atlanta defense lose track of the depth of the tight end Miller.
34 yards on a catch, and now Wilson's going to throw it again on first down. All day to throw. And that's Golden Tate to the 20-yard line for a first down. Getting to the quarterback is not a strength for either one of these defenses.
Well, you can see right here with just a simple four-man rush, they can't get home. That gives Russell Wilson all the time he needs to throw this deep, long comeback on the outside. We said they needed to do something else besides hand off to Marshawn Lynch. They figured out what that something else is.
Lynch cuts it back to the inside. That'll be a gain of 3 on first down. Lynch joined Sean Alexander and Chris Warren as the only 2 backs in Seahawks history to rush for better than 1,500 yards in a season. They were not very efficient in the red zone last week, even winning the game.
Yeah, I think part of the problem for Russell Wilson in terms of throwing down here, I don't know he has that go-to guy like a Matt Ryan has, say, a Roddy White or a Tony Gonzalez to go to in the red zone.
Screen to Lynch. Cuts it back to the inside and shoved by his own lineman. And appears to be about a yard short of a first down. It is 3rd and 1. First time in a game, Seattle's knocking on the door.
I know you want to get that first down, and I know Atlanta is going to be coming up into the box to stuff it, but what a huge opportunity to maybe make that play-action fake down in the end zone. I know you're not going to go for that. And Marshawn Lynch is not in the game, and they're in gun.
Well, they give it to Turbin, and he is very, very close. Russell Wilson is saying first down. They may have to measure.
You can see Pete Carroll right at the top. He wasn't sure they were going to get the playoff, and I'm not sure Pete Carroll's not thinking, why is Marshawn Lynch not in the game?
We got a 4th down, and Pete Carroll's going for it.
This is confidence in your team. It tells you where they think they are in this game to have to go for a 4th down.
They give it to the young man, Robinson, and he is denied the first down. does not get the ball on either down. What a stop by the Falcons defense. And a 4th and 1, so now Matt Ryan puts it in the hands of Turner from the 12-yard line, and Turner up to the 15.
Let's go back. You're going to see them plug up the inside, and a free runner in William Moore has been out the last 4 weeks. If you're going to stop someone on a 4th and 1, typically it takes a free runner like this to do it.
Celebrating on that Falcons sideline. Turner once more. First down yardage and then some. Rumbles his way up. Just shy of midfield to the 48-yard line. Mike Johnson, Mike Cox leading the way.
Right here on the edge, they go into jumbo personnel. Mike Johnson out at tackle, lining up at a tight end. I can't say enough about this offensive line of the Atlanta Falcons. Much maligned for their lack of running game this season, and right now they are manhandling the bigger, what was thought to be the more physical Seattle defense.
9 carries, 66 yards for Turner. Now to throw it on first down, Ryan. And a flag is thrown. Cam Chancellor looking around as Gonzalez hit the deck.
Just working down the field, and they almost, it looks like they kind of get tied up
Prior
with one
to the
another.
pass, holding, number 31, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I'm not sure you're calling who's holding who there, but you know what? When you're on the way to the Hall of Fame, you're probably going to get a few called your way. I'm not saying anything.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Of course you are.
Yeah. It does buy you a little cachet.
Gus Bradley doesn't want to hear that.
No, that's not going to be fair to him.
Defensive coordinator is already interviewed for the Philadelphia Eagles head coaching job, and he told us yesterday he will interview for 2 other head coaching vacancies. Wouldn't say which team. Looking for Roddy White. Touchdown. .47 yards, scoring strike. Ryan to Roddy White. And now a point after away from a 20-0 lead. Boy, you get that huge stop. Brian, you talk about momentum and emotion all the time in this game of football. 3rd down and 1 stop, 4th down and 1 stop. You get a big carry by Turner, and then bang.
Let's back it up even further. The big penalty on the Atlanta offense that forced them to go for 3 points. Then Seattle goes the length of the field, and for the defense to respond the way they did, and then Matt Ryan and this offense to come in and respond to that, it's going all Atlanta's way right now.
Of course, they review every scoring play, and they're just making sure that White had complete control of the football, which he did. They're going to double check once more. Well, we wondered what would Matt Ryan do following a turnover if he had one. Pretty doggone good.
Yeah, that would pretty much answer.
The field is confirmed. Going to the ground. Touchdown.
Confirming what you saw. Walt Coleman throws an exclamation point on that 47-yard touchdown catch. And Pete Carroll's team looking for something, anything, and he'll smile about it. Pete's a loose guy.
Oh, yeah. But
like we said,
the difference is when they started to see Washington struggle a little bit, that gave them the confidence to come back. There's no struggle in this Atlanta Falcon team right now. They're going to have to do it on their own. I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks now.
Bryant with a point after. 4:16 remains until halftime. Atlanta 20. The Seahawks nothing.
Well, Matt Ryan took his shot, and it was beautifully thrown down the middle of the field. Watch Cam Chancellor at the top. We saw it last night in the Baltimore Raven Denver Bronco game. How does the deepest center field player, in this instance Cam Chancellor, let Roddy White get in behind him? You have got to stay as deep as the deepest. Matt Ryan had to think, boy, just let me get this ball up and down.
Well, a chance for the Seahawks to get a little momentum in their favor. 4:16 to play until halftime. A couple of timeouts. They had a good drive the last time they had the football, but could not convert on third down, and then Pete Carroll elected to go for it on fourth down and a yard. And Washington will take a knee. Ryan, I must ask you, there are many Seahawks fans that are asking the question as you take a look at what's transpired so far. Lynch, the early turnover. Tony Gonzalez with a touchdown reception. That fourth down and 1. Ball given to Michael Robinson to take advantage of that on a scoring strike. I know a lot of Seahawks fans are saying, how do you have a 3rd and 1? How do you have a 4th and 1? And you don't give it to a guy who had almost 1,600 yards rushing. Is that a fair question?
Yeah, it is, because with the sheer size of it, I mean, you want to obviously go against tendency, and you want to do it with your entire team, but I'm with you. At least one of those, don't you want to give it to Marshawn Lynch?
Turbin up to the 25. Now, it should be noted, there was a lot of concern and a lot of alarm about Marshawn Lynch not practicing Wednesday of this week. But Pete Carroll said, look, he has not practiced on Wednesdays over the entire second half of the season. He has been bothered with a tender right foot, but he didn't look like anything was wrong with him last week in D.C.
Tom, I promise you, there's no player on any football team that takes more of a beating than a running back. No lead running back takes substantive snaps during the week this late in the season.
Golden Tate. And he brings it up for a first down to the 38-yard line. Chris Myers to the sideline.
Tom, the noise here has had an effect. The offensive linemen of the Seahawks complaining they're having trouble hearing. They said they missed an alert on that 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. So Russell Wilson, during that last defensive possession for the Seahawks, talked to his line, and they said they're going to have to go with more hand signals or tapping the linemen so they get the right play to the right people.
Chris IQ. Julio 7. And this is Lynch. And that's a gain of a yard.
Tom, we talked about it in the open. We've been in this building many times, and these are great fans, but sometimes it takes them a while to get cranked up. You got the sense this week being in town that there was a little bit of, we want to see how they do. I know it's a divisional round. We want to see them win that playoff game. This momentum is building. And if this should hold true, and Atlanta should hold the form and go to the championship game and have San Francisco come here, this building will be rocking from day one.
Well, Lynch appears to be a little tender. Nursing that right foot some. Wilson being chased, won't get caught by Bierman, and he is very close to a first down. Needed to get to the 47-yard line. And that may take us down to the 2-minute warning. It is a first down. Wilson trying to get him up to the line of scrimmage.
Not going to happen.
Nope. 2-minute warning. Pete Carroll Seahawks with a football at their own 48-yard line. What a turnaround Carroll has orchestrated along with their general manager John Schneider. Second youngest team in the league and the hottest team in the NFC. Well, they have dug themselves a 20-0 hole. Very quiet day for Marshawn Lynch. Jonathan Babineau there to meet him. Lynch 8 carries, 28 yards in the game.
There again, you can see with just a standard box, and now they're going to get William Moore in there as well. They're going to continue to get, look at all the bodies. Look at the red shirts swarming to the tackle. They knew that was going to be the key in stopping Marshawn Lynch.
Well, there would have been a lot more yardage on that throw to Miller if he didn't have to leave his feet to catch it. But it is a first down. Clock down to 1:25. Ball at the Atlanta 32. Washington into the backfield. Catch. And it is another first down. That's Sidney Rice, his first reception of the game. We're under a minute.
Clearly Atlanta is playing not to give up the touchdown. At this point, they're inside field goal range, so they'll give up just about anything underneath. They just can't give up that shot into the end zone.
Wilson just throws it away.
We talked about the difficulty of a four-man rush getting home on a Russell Wilson when you have to constantly spy as to where he's at. We really haven't seen a lot of pressure on him, but part of it is they kept him pretty well contained. Of course, we're looking at John Abraham, who had that ankle injury to finish the season. You wondered how that was going to affect him. They may just be saving him for later in the game right now and not wanting to waste the reps early.
2nd and 10. It is Miller again. That's a gain of 9. 5 catches for Miller. Take a timeout.
Coach Billick, you were just talking about the status of John Abraham, who came in with that ankle injury. Right now, he is questionable. Re-injured it. He is right now questionable to return.
Cliff Matthews takes his place. 10th play of the drive, a 3rd and 1. Quick slant and a catch made by Golden Tate, and that's enough for a first down. Seattle with 1 timeout remaining, and they will spend their final timeout. It's 1st and goal. And while we have a moment, let's send it back to Los Angeles to Kurt Menefee.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, our guys will break down the first half from Hotlanta like no one else can. Plus, we'll have an exclusive interview with the quarterback one of these teams will face next Sunday, the star of yesterday's game, 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick. It's all coming up on the Visa Halftime. See you then.
1st and goal for Seattle. 25 seconds remain. The Seahawks are out of timeouts. Pretty evident Zach Miller has been his security blanket in this game.
Yeah, 10 attempts or 10 completions in this game, 5 of them going to Zach Miller. And right now you're going to see Zach Miller on the outside. They may be looking to try to get that one-on-one matchup on the outside with Zach Miller.
Trying to sneak it in the back of the end zone to Rice. But outstanding coverage. Asante Samuel in the postseason. Very few cornerbacks have played better than Samuel.
He doesn't necessarily like to be on the inside. They got him there by putting Zach Miller on the outside. But Asante Samuel as good as second guessing, and I mean that in a complimentary way. Due to his film study, he knows when to guess and when not to.
And Atlanta's going to have to call a timeout. Unable to get it. Oh, they did. Apparently Mike Smith is screaming from that sideline. They had a man uncovered all the way to the far right side of that spread formation. Talked about Samuel playing in his 20th postseason game. Of course, many of those with New England. 7 playoff interceptions and holds the all-time record with 4 of those returned for a touchdown in the playoffs.
And I had fun listening to him out of practice the other day.
Yeah.
He's coaching them all up. He was getting after offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter every throw. Hey, I like that one. No, I don't want to see that. That's no good. He was telling Michael Turner after a play, hey, you get in the end zone like that, that's 23 hamburgers, okay?
Cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburger. He said, oh, by the way, that's not a bounty.
Well, you got to entice a big fellow with something.
That's right. He used the right incentive as well. Boy, now Seattle looks confused.
Well, Seattle does not have a timeout. Well, Cliff Matthews is replacing John Abraham.
False start, number 76, offense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
He saw Okung move.
Well, and you see Coy Bierman moving around Russell Wilson and that offensive line trying to account for that movement. We talked about this undersized Atlanta Falcon defense that has to scheme its way into certain pressures, and clearly right there, that brought about the penalty as they were trying to sort out the protection.
Second and goal from the 11. That had no chance from the start. Piece of halftime coming up. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy. We'll break it down from the first half here. An interview with Colin Kaepernick. My, oh my, was he sensational last night. 49ers for a second straight year will play in the NFC Championship game. Big play here, third and goal from the 11. Wilson is sacked by Babineau. And now they have to hurry. They're going to go for it. Be forced and won't even get a snap off.
Wow.
They throw it to the end zone. Now we wait. No. Unable after the sack to get the field goal unit out of timeouts. An already difficult opening half for Seattle ends in bitter fashion.
That is a rookie quarterback in a stressful situation with a tired football team that's been worn out by the team on the field and the fans in the stadium. That was a tough way to end the half for the Seattle Seahawks.
20-0 at halftime. The NFL on Fox will continue with a Visa halftime report. Well, yesterday here at the Dome, 40 young athletes competed in the NFL punt, pass, and kick national finals. 5 different age divisions. NFL punt, pass, and kick began celebrating its 51st anniversary. Dan Marino and our very own Troy Aikman competed in the competition as youngsters. Troy said he didn't do very well. I find that hard to believe.
I used to love this until one time in Baltimore I came out and watched those kids throwing, and I got excited until I realized about half of them were better than the 3 guys I had playing for me. So then I just got depressed. But it's always a great event. Love to see these kids compete.
It was the end of the first quarter. Well, the Seahawks got it turned around last week. Many are wondering, did they get the playoff before the game clock expired? It should be noted, A, they did not get it off, and B, it is not reviewable under the current replay system. We're going to visit with Mike Pereira back in Los Angeles on that topic. We understand a lot of you were curious. So too is the Seahawks media relations staff as to whether or not that play got off before the end of the half. And Mike Pereira, how about it? What happened here at the end of the half?
Well, as you saw when they actually superimposed the game clock on the screen, they did not get it off. You can see that. But even if they would have, Seattle was not set, and that would have created a 10-second runoff. They did not have a timeout left, so the half would have been over either way, and you wouldn't have had a play.
Always great to have our good friend Mike Pereira joining us from back in Los Angeles, longtime head of NFL officials. So here we go in the third quarter. Can Seattle get it turned around, trailing 20-0? And Wilson to throw it on first down. He's done a lot of that in this game today, and that has not been the MO, where the Seahawks have been unbelievably successful over the second half of the year. It's been primarily due to the best rushing attack in the NFL.
Which leads to the typical play-action pass and shot down the field. Russell Wilson's having to do it from almost a straight drop back every time right now.
10-yard reception by Sidney Rice to begin the second half. Now they give it to Lynch. It's a gain of 2. Let's check in from the Atlanta sideline with Laura.
Tom, if anyone's surprised by this 20-0 score, they're not alone. No fewer than 5 Falcons players walked off the field into the tunnel mouthing wow to me. Mike Smith wants to make sure that doesn't get into their heads, telling them at halftime, don't look at that scoreboard. We have 30 more minutes to go. Be more aggressive, and we're going to keep doing that by having our aggressive game calling, mixing up the play and the run and the pass.
Seattle rushing for just 57 yards in the first half. Wilson to throw it on second down. And now he'll run it. Still on his feet, close to midfield, and that's a first down up to the 49-yard line. Their best runs have come from the quarterback, Wilson.
They have, because again, you're going to see this is just a 4-man rush. They're kind of spying, trying to watch and make sure that Russell Wilson doesn't get outside. We've seen a couple of these, but unlike Colin Kaepernick last night that we saw in the San Francisco game, so far this has been the lesser of a couple evils. They haven't given up those big passing plays down the field.
No John Abraham to begin this second half. Cliff Matthews fills in for him. And an 8-yard gain on first down by Turbin. Let's go to the Seattle sideline to Chris Myers.
Well, Tom, Pete Carroll said he wasn't going to deviate much from his original game plan, even down 20-0, but they have to gamble to put more pressure on Matt Ryan on defense. Offensively, at the end of the half, he said Russell Wilson made a mistake not getting rid of the ball on third down, taking the sack. He said Marshawn Lynch is fine, but we may see more read option with Russell Wilson in the second half.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Laura. Gain of 7 on first down. It's 2nd and 3. Lynch very close to a first down. Needed to get to the 41. Maybe just short. Lynch 132 rushing yards last week in Washington. 9 for 28, and again on a third down and a yard, as he was the last 3rd and 1. Lynch is standing on the Seahawks sideline.
And they empty the backfield with no one back there with Russell Wilson unless they wedge it just like this, and it works. That at least made sense in terms of if you're going to run the quarterback wedge. We've already seen it. Take Marshawn Lynch out of the game, open it up, make them think you're going to do something other than the quarterback wedge. It doesn't do you any good to have Marshawn Lynch standing behind you and then pinching off the inside if you're going to wedge the ball. Yeah, this is a unique look at their version of the pistol offense.
Take the run, Wilson. Moving around. Still moving, caught from behind by Vance Walker.
Well, Mike Nolan's going to be needing to rotate these defensive linemen through because they're going to wear it down a little bit. Nice job down the field with no place to go. Zach Miller on the outside. This is where Russell Wilson has usually pulled it down and made some good yardage. He tried to find someone to dump it off into and then went vertical. Darren Bevel trying to create something down the field to get that one big play they can hang their hat on.
Second down and 18, and a quick hit. And that is a first down reception on a second down and 18 on a catch by Miller, who has been by far the best Seahawks offensive player in this game today. 6 receptions for 113 yards.
That's got to be a blown assignment. You're going to see this vacated area right here. Someone needs to buzz to that. It looks like William Moore played too far inside before he buzzed out to the tight end that allowed the wide open Zach Miller to get the big yardage.
Wilson to throw it on first down, and a wide open Golden Tate inside the 5, and he'll tiptoe into the end zone. A touchdown for the Seahawks. Opening drive of the this third quarter. And the Seahawks finally reach the end zone.
Well, Thomas Deku comes out underneath. This is the free safety that's buzzing underneath. That allowed Dante Robinson to rotate over the top to where normally a safety would be, and basically a miscommunication. You've got DBs in unnatural positions with the corner going to the hash safety and the safety going to the flat, not really conversing as to where they needed to be to execute that defense.
Point after by Ryan Longwell is good. So life on the visitor side. 27 Atlanta. Well, nice of the staff over at the Georgia Aquarium to let you, Brian, be a part of our billboards. There in the middle waving the NFL on Fox sign.
Here you can see Mike Smith talking to Thomas Deku, trying to explain where he might have needed to be and needed to get more depth in that coverage. And obviously Russell Wilson excited about having that 9-play, 80-yard drive to start the half.
This is Rodgers from the 3-yard line, and he is leveled at the 20. Mercy. Jeremy Lane. The big hit. Now Seattle's defense needs a stop. Seattle hoping to make playoff history. 20 points, the largest road deficit for a comeback win in the history of the NFL, when Detroit did it out in San Francisco going back to 1957. First down, they pitch it to Michael Turner, who had an outstanding first half. And that's a gain of 6.
Well, we saw Seattle emotionally respond to being down 20-0 at half, coming out, going the length of the field. This is the spot for the Atlanta offense to come out, maybe redial up that opening sequence where they were able to literally run down the field with Michael Turner, Jacquizz Rodgers, with a couple shots down the field in the passing game. They'd love nothing better than to run the ball down the throat of the Seattle Seahawks right here and respond to their score.
They called it a gain of 5 by Turner. This time it's Rodgers. And he lost a half-yard. Brandon Mebane coming down the line to get him.
Well, obviously, Seattle thought the same thing. We're not going to let you get this running game cranked up on us. Got an 8-man box with a nice job of Mebane closing from the backside, preventing any kind of gain from Rodgers.
So a very important third down for this Seahawks defense. Atlanta 4 of 7 converting on third down so far. Blitz coming. And the catch is made by Gonzalez, and that appears to be a first down. Needed to get to the 30. And that's right on it, just beyond it. First down.
Well, that's why we put the highlighter on Tony Gonzalez. Matt Ryan talks about how he had to get used to the fact that he could throw the ball just about anywhere to Tony Gonzalez. But to get on the same page as to where Gonzalez, even though covered, might anticipate where that ball might be thrown. That's why he goes to him in such critical situations, particularly in the third and medium and third and short.
Down line sets up a screen to Rodgers. And Seattle saw it coming. Allen Branch, KJ Wright. That'll be a gain of, well, maybe a yard. Call it 2.
And even though that didn't get a lot of yards, Matt Ryan talked about how he's really enjoyed this year infusing the screen game. It was kind of void of the offense last year. And the ability to get the screen game cranked up. That's the first screen we've seen today. We may see more.
Well, they scored 6 touchdowns off screen passes during the season, by far the most
56
among all teams in the league. Great protection. Catch and a first down by Julio Jones. You know, Brian, we brought up earlier, no Chris Clemens. The Seahawks team had 36 sacks, but Clemens had 11 and a half of those, and we have not called Bruce Urban's name, the rookie, all day today.
And that's been a factor in these completions down the field, because this route takes a while to crank up. Nice job of, look at the eyes on the ball, looking at to the tuck, looking at to the catch, particularly going across the middle when you know you're apt to get lit up.
Runner on first down. Up close to the 50. But Justin Blaylock lost the helmet there. This guy's never missed a start over his 5 years since coming to the Falcons.
And he's been a nice anchor for them. Sam Baker, the left tackle, has been in and out of the lineup with injury over the last couple of years. Todd McClure maybe on the back end of his career. They really like their young rookie right guard. Pete Coons has done a nice job for them in infusing into the lineup.
Go to the far side, and the catch was made by Harry Douglas. First time we called his name today, and that's a first down to the 44-yard line.
Nice job. Watch the backfield pick up this pressure, this blitz. You don't see a lot of blitzing from Seattle. They got a hat on a hat, and there again, Tom, giving Matt Ryan a chance to come out late to Harry Douglas.
Hey, Douglas on a lot of teams would be catching 50, 60, 70 passes a year. But when you're playing on an Atlanta team that has two 1,000-yard receivers, a tight end with 93 receptions, it's tough getting the football. Looking for Douglas, and could not hang on. Sherman step for step, but looked to be a catchable ball.
Well, there's always a question. It's like a three-legged sack race here. Who pushed who? Who does what? Yeah, you know, they're going to let him play to a degree. Harry Douglas, this really isn't his deal, being that outside receiver. They leave that pretty much to Julio Jones and Roddy White. Douglas more in the slot, does those type of plays. Got away with just a little bit of a push there.
Second down and 10. Jones inside the 20, all the way to the 22-yard line.
Just a quick little inside slant. A very nice play design by Dirk Cutter, the offensive coordinator, flaring the back out underneath, taking underneath coverage away from it, giving Matt Ryan an easy completion to the 6'3", 220-pound Julio Jones.
10th play of this drive, following the touchdown by the Seahawks and Rodgers for a yard.
We talked about the emotional response of the Atlanta Falcons after Seattle went the distance. This is just the kind of drive head coach Mike Smith wants, because not only has it put him in scoring position, but it's chewing down some big clock here as we're down coming under 4 minutes in the third quarter. That's just the kind of drive he wanted to orchestrate.
I don't think anybody saw this coming. You know, you sit around and you talk about games and how they should play out each and every week. If somebody would have said to you before the week began that in the third quarter, one team would have nearly double the rushing yards of the other as it's incomplete, Brian, I think you would have said, and I think everybody would have said, Seattle would be the team who's rushed for 142 yards by this point in the game. That belongs to Atlanta.
And what a boost for them after the 3 playoff losses over the last couple of years. Mike Smith, with the bye, had to change something out, even if it was just for change's sake, to give the players something to hang their hat on, to say, okay, we're going to be okay now. Clearly, they felt like they could run the ball, and it's played out beautifully for them today.
Blitz coming. Ryan delivers, and look at the strength of Tony Gonzalez. He just rips it away from Winston Guy.
Once again, we see Seattle's having to bring more pressure to try to get to Matt Ryan. That creates the one-on-ones down the field. Winston Guy at 6'1" is no match for the bigger, more athletic Tony Gonzalez.
What a player, what a player. Going to his 13th Pro Bowl. This has been one of his best seasons of his 16 years. Laid off to Rodgers. And he's down to the 5-yard line. Wrapped up by Wagner.
Matt Ryan down here, a big part of their confidence in Matt Ryan is he is very sound in the red zone in terms of understanding the pace of the game. Right now, 3 points would be huge because it takes it to that 3-score differential. Knowing that to come away with any points at all, responding to Seattle's drive is huge. I don't see him taking an unduly risk in terms of putting the ball in the end zone here.
See, the first time, and it's his 4th career playoff game. Ryan has eclipsed 200 yards passing, and it's Snelling who finds the end zone.
Dirt Cutter, the offensive coordinator, loving that play. You know, this is one of those plays you might practice and practice and practice for weeks without calling it just the right time to get the score. All they're going to do is bring everything out to the right and trail Jason Snelling with a little shovel pass, really getting the Seattle Seahawks to flow. Great response by the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, it took the words right out of my mouth after a 9-play, 80-yard touchdown drive to give some momentum the Seahawks way. Matt Ryan and company. As that one is blocked by Richard Sherman. And I got to believe he started too early, didn't he? I don't see a flag on the play, but
no, they got it. He's up there, the official. He didn't have time.
Number 25, defense, half the distance to the goal. Retry.
He didn't have to. It got so offside so quickly. He didn't have a chance. Didn't have the time to pull the flag.
Snelling for 6 years has been a backup here in Atlanta. We were here for his career day a couple of seasons ago and wondered if the former Virginia Cavalier would ever get a chance to be an every down back. He's battled through injuries the last couple of seasons, but has been rock solid, especially in their passing game this year. Sherman starts again, and a point after is good. Snelling the touchdown. 27-7.
Offside, number 25 on the defense. That 5-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff. Extra point is good.
Well, there are 80-yard drives and there are 80-yard drives, but when you have 14 plays and chew up 7 minutes and 36 seconds to make it 27-7, that is an 80-play drive.
After the penalty, Bryant will kick it through the end zone. Down by 20. Pressure of the postseason. Pete Carroll and the Seahawks feeling it big time right now. 2:11 to play here in the third quarter. Seattle from its own 20, trailing by 20. Lynch off the right side. It's a gain of 5. Well, when every play matters, and it does right now, turn to NFL Mobile for coverage of every NFL game. Call Star NFL to get it for just $5 all month long.
You know, we've seen a few of these read options by Russell Wilson. He has yet to keep one. I don't know whether that's by design or they're just saving it for the right moment, but I would think now would be about that right moment.
Takes a run and now looking to throw it. Fires down the middle of the field. Golden Tate came back to get the ball. And Tate up to the 48-yard line. That'll be a first down.
And this is what has happened as the DBs fall out. He scrambles around. The linebackers are gobbled up with the potential of Russell Wilson pulling it down. And again, the big plays we've seen by the Seattle Seahawks are on plays where the linebackers have to settle and that second-level receiver has gotten in behind him.
Of course, Golden Tate had a game-winning 24-yard touchdown as time expired to beat Green Bay back in Week 3. And now on first down, Wilson fires, and it's caught by Rice, and that's a first down to the Atlanta 40. See, the last drive, 80 yards after just getting 193 over 5 possessions in the first half. A scoreless first half. Wilson looks down the field, and there's Miller left alone once more. And he's out of bounds at the 13-yard line. 9 seconds left in the third quarter. Seahawks in business.
There again, it's at that intermediate level, about 20 yards deep. As the DBs fall off, taking away the big play, the linebackers getting gobbled up underneath with a play fake, and shallow receivers. That's 3 times now we've seen Zach Miller get into that 20-yard area with throws in behind the linebackers.
That'll be the final play of the third quarter. 27-7 Atlanta. The NFL on Fox will continue after a break from your local Fox station. So we're set to begin the fourth quarter. And Bryant, Mike Smith, you've known him well, known him a long time. When you're standing on that sideline and you got a 20-point lead, that clock, I would imagine, can't tick quickly enough.
I know we're just starting the fourth quarter, but it is a factor in the play calling, both offensively and defensively, as we progress to the end of the game.
A rough time in the red zone for these Seahawks, even in the win last week. Corbin able to duck right between the hard hitters Moore and Weatherspoon, and he gets to the 6-yard line. Well, these two guys hit one another, these teammates. That is one violent collision. Watch this.
Sean Weatherspoon kind of misses and now is straight up trying to come back into it. And Asante Samuel comes back in and just pops Weatherspoon. We didn't quite get to it, but just popped him with a big hit.
Corbin flipped down to the 1-yard line. That'll be a first down.
You know, the book would say that if you don't get it here on third down, you kick the field goal to bring it to a 2-score differential. But the way this game has gone, I'm not sure Pete Carroll's not going to go for it on fourth down if they don't get it here. Or excuse me, first down. He got the first. My mistake.
And no signal given yet. Nope, he's down short of the goal line.
Yeah, no, I'm still thinking about that 20-point. I lost that touchdown by the Falcons, that last one. That changes it. That clearly down here. And obviously he's going to have a couple goes at it, but he's going to have 3 more shots because kicking a field goal here does him no good.
Hey, then you're still down to 3 scores.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And your Marshawn Lynch is in the game, Tom.
They fake it to him. And Wilson will run it in for the touchdown. So now a point after away from trailing by 13.
And that was a tough one for him. They sold out on the inside. You're going to see it all crash down in here to stop Marshawn Lynch, which left nobody on the outside as Russell Wilson pulls it down for the score.
Was quite a block there by Lynch. That's survival mode there, but man.
I don't know if you can call it a block as much as it is a fetal curl up and let him tackle me.
Of course, it was Wilson who paved the way, a big block in front of Lynch last week in Washington. And a point after by Barnwell is good. So, still 13 minutes to go. 27 14. Ryan and the Falcons in front. Can they hang on? Trying to defy postseason odds. Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. Teams trailing by 20 or more at halftime. The results are not good.
Yeah, but right now, Seattle's not thinking about that. I'd just sooner not be the one. I'd be saying, let's make history now. Right. Just the sheer odds says somebody's going to do it.
Rodgers will take a knee. 13:01 to play here in Atlanta. Russell Wilson has been able to put up a pair of touchdowns here in the second half after getting blanked in the first half, but needing the ball back at least twice more. Michael Turner. What an outstanding game Turner has had. And I'm not sure anybody thought this might be coming. In fact, there were some Falcon fans we ran into at our hotel last night that said, please tell me we're not going to see Michael Turner and the old, 3 yards in a cloud of turf, if you will. Well, Turner pretty good today. 12 rushes, 83 yards.
And when we asked Dirk Cutter about the plan for Michael Turner, he kind of burred up a little bit as though, well, you know what, I don't care what you're hearing. This guy can still bring the load, and we're still going to count him.
309 on first down, and now gets it on second down, and that'll be good enough to move the chains for Turner. Bryant, tell me what's going on Fox.
Well, it's almost that time of year again, America, and I'm talking to you, Tom Brenneman. TV's biggest phenomenon. American Idol is back for an all-new season of talent and surprises. New judges Mariah Carey, Keith Urban, and Nicki Minaj join Randy Jackson and Ryan Seacrest on America's #1 show. American Idol premieres this Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
Keith Urban. I just wish he'd take about 3 or 4 minutes on every show and do a guitar solo. That guy can get after it. Play fake is the end around to Julio Jones, and that did not fool Leroy Hill. KJ Wright there as well.
Did a nice job of chasing it down from behind. Branch keeps it from going to the outside, allows that rush from the backside to catch up to it.
White, another one of these young dynamic defenders, only his second year out of Mississippi State. But they need one of these young dynamic defenders to make a play. Trailing 27-14, and Ryan throws it down the field, and it's intercepted. Or was it out of bounds? No, it is an interception, a second straight week for Earl Thomas. You wonder about that decision by Matt Ryan. That had no chance of being caught. So we talked about a defender making a play. Seahawks get the ball back with 11:03 to go. The takeaway by Thomas and the Seattle defense. Matt Ryan, his second interception of the game, third time in his 4 postseason starts. He's thrown 2 or more interceptions. Wilson looks down the field. Sidney Rice has it and steps out of bounds at the Atlanta 38-yard line.
Seattle continues to make hay with those deep to intermediate passes. Here Rice just gets in behind that linebacker and second level of the secondary because of the play fake, because of the way they have to account for Russell Wilson. We've seen a number of plays hit at this level for big plays for the Seattle Seahawks.
24-yard reception. Under 11 minutes to go, and they hand it off to Lynch. Inside the 35, down to the 33.
Tom, we have to go back to last week. An eerily similar play here. Earl Thomas coming under Pierre Garçon in a big play that helped turn the tide for the Seattle Seahawks against the Washington Redskins. In the same fashion, Earl Thomas over the top, coming up with the big interception to give Seattle a chance now inside the 50 to come away with another score.
Crowd trying to get behind this Falcons defense. Seattle on the move. Urban cuts it back to the inside. Inside the 5 and run out of bounds at the 3-yard line. How about the moves by the rookie out of Utah State? And now with 9:42 to go, the Seahawks inside the 5.
Just a little dump off here, and you're going to see Stephen Douglas. Poor job of wrapping up, just trying to take him out with just a hit. Needed to form, tackle, and wrap up to bring down Robert Turbin. Big mistake now, going to put this Falcon defense at risk inside the 5.
Play action fake, wide open, and an easy touchdown to Zach Miller. And don't look now, here come the Seahawks. It's Russell Wilson in 7 of the 16 Seattle games this year. His team had a chance to win with under 2 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. They won 4 of those games, 3 of them on touchdowns by Wilson in wins over Green Bay, Chicago, and New England. And look at the numbers for Wilson here in the second half. A stunned crowd in Atlanta. It was 27-20. Now the Falcons lead to 6. All of a sudden, things have tightened up considerably here in Atlanta. 4 plays in under 2 minutes to go 62 yards after an interception. And the Seahawks trail by 6. What was a 20-point spread. Rodgers 2 yards out of his own end zone. And a good return up to the 24.
Well, you're going to see here just Zach Miller's going to run a crossing route. He gets dropped in coverage. This happens on the goal line more often than not. Linebacker just doesn't recognize that he's got Miller in behind him. This is a pretty easy throw for Russell Wilson to Zach Miller for the touchdown.
So now the pressure clearly, as if it wasn't there already on this Atlanta team to get a playoff win. This series a microcosm of the pressure that they have felt since being eliminated last year by the New York Giants. Play action. Bryant incomplete.
Roddy White had beat Richard Sherman across the field. Matt Ryan just a little bit off. That would have been a big play with a big chunk of yardage to punch a hole in it. Matt Ryan's likely going to have to make the throws to get them going in this drive, because right now the running game has dried up just a little bit.
Second down, they fake it one way, and then they throw it to Jones, and that was snuffed out beautifully by K.J. Wright. That's a loss back to the 20-yard line. 3rd down and 14 coming up.
That's twice now that we've seen these quick screens blown up. First by Chancellor, now by Wright. They're all over it, doing a nice job avoiding the pulling lineman to put Atlanta in a 3rd and 13 hole.
steps up. And falling down after making the catch is Drew Davis. And look at that Seattle sideline. Springing to its feet collectively after denying first down yardage. And the Seahawks will get the football back.
Well, they're certainly not feeling that back-to-back cross-country flight now. They've been re-energized here in the second half. Now it's going to fall on the Atlanta defense to spark Atlanta and keep Seattle from marching right down the field like they did the last two times.
Matt Bosher stands at his own 12. Leon Washington waiting at the 20. Very, very short punt. Savvy move by Washington to come up and get it. And he brings it back to the 39-yard line. Boy, that is a rock-solid veteran play by Washington. So now Wilson with a chance to give his team the lead. What an amazing turnaround. Atlanta pitching a shutout in the opening half, had a 20-point lead here in the third quarter, and now you're on the ropes.
Yeah, this is the place, obviously, the Atlanta defense has got to step up. They've kind of clamped down on the run, but if they beat at that intermediate area, they may have to back off a little bit and go ahead and let Seattle run the ball a little bit. They can't afford these throws down the field anymore.
Well, they miss on a chance to sack the rookie Wilson, and he slides for a 9-yard gain. On first down, we talked about the pressure on this Atlanta team. Are they feeling it even more now, Bryant, on the sideline?
Yeah, they are. We wondered how they would handle adversity early in the game. Well, it's been all Atlanta up to this point.
Right.
Now the adversity's coming late. We're going to see how Atlanta responds to that, because now that's where this history of losing the playoff games starts to begin to creep in your mind.
John Abraham lost very early on, re-injuring his ankle. Neither quarterback has been pressured by the opposition much in this one. Second down, and it's Lynch, and although he was hit right at the 50, that appears to be enough for a first down. Big hit by Weatherspoon, depending on a spot. We'll see whether or not he got a first down. We're waiting, and it is a first down. Let's check in with Chris Myers.
Tom, Russell Wilson said he enjoys playing in close games. Anybody can win in a blowout. His offensive coordinator, Darrell Bevel, said if Lynch doesn't run well, we're not afraid to throw it 50 times with Wilson. We have faith in him. It seems as the game gets tighter, this Seahawk team gets even more loose.
Play fake to Lynch, and now Wilson looks down the field, and it is batted away. Closing quickly on Sidney Rice was Deku.
Where Russell Wilson makes his money deep down the field is just that kind of play, down the middle of the field. Not much of a streak or go thrower on the outside. Because of the play action fake, they hope to move the safety. There, Thomas Deku wasn't moved enough and was able to recoup his position to knock the ball down.
Second down and 10. Looking for the screen and sniffed out. Corey Peters, a defensive lineman, tracking Turbin out of the backfield as they try to set up that screen. Look at the last three possessions, and more importantly, the points.
Well, as I've been saying, where they've been making their most money is in that intermediate area between 15 and 20 yards. Now, in third and long, that's going to be tougher because this defense is going to be intent and jumping anything that goes deeper than the first down marker. But on first and second down, that's where that depth of route has hurt the Atlanta Falcons.
And the Falcons will ask for timeout. Of course, the Seahawks had chances for points earlier. Third and one, they couldn't convert. Fourth and one, gave it to Michael Robinson down inside the red zone, then couldn't get off the final play of the first half after Wilson was sacked. They were out of timeouts, and they couldn't forget about getting the field goal unit after the sack. They couldn't get off another snap.
And if just one of those can convert in even just a field goal, that would currently make it a 27-24 game. Now you're talking about a 3-point differential.
Yep.
That changes the entire dynamic of what you might call.
All right, 3rd and 10. Is Zach Miller the guy you're looking for?
It has been. It was last week, and it's been a couple times today.
By far the best game of this season for the Seattle tight end.
Zach Miller on the left side.
Three-man rush. And Wilson looking for an open receiver. Flag down, and Rice dropped it. Now we wait on the penalty.
Personal foul, shot block, number 60 on the offense. The penalty is declined. 4th down.
That's Max Unger, the All-Pro center.
Right here. Just on the outside, making sure you can see here on the edge. They're not going to let Russell Wilson come around, and right late there you saw Max Unger chop Babineau late in the play. That's a dangerous play with regard to injury, but a huge play in terms of making them punt.
Big stop by this Atlanta defense, and that one is out of the end zone, went beyond the goal line. 27-21 Atlanta, 5:32 to go. Next Sunday right here on Fox. The NFC Championship game. Will it be Russell Wilson? Will it be Matt Ryan playing at home? We'll know shortly. We also know it begins at 2 o'clock Eastern next Sunday. The NFC Championship only on Fox.
Now we're in the classic 4-minute territory, even though we're sitting here at 5:32. What Atlanta wants to do is buy down the clock, run the ball, but Seattle knows that too. They're a tough, big defense to run the ball against. Obviously, Atlanta has run the ball very well, but not so much in the second half.
Well, they threw it 3 times on their last possession, culminating on a Matt Ryan interception. Turner off the right side. And that's a gain of 12 for Michael Turner, who's knocking on the door in a 100-yard rushing game.
You've got to watch the feet of Michael Turner here for a big man. Watch how he sidesteps this. He's got great feet for a big man with just enough acceleration to bounce to the outside, just a little bit of a jump cut, and now those quick feet that belie a big man like Michael Turner. They're going to need a lot of him in this drive if they're not going to give the ball back to the Seattle Seahawks.
Turner only had 2 100-yard rushing days, the last coming the first week of November against Dallas. Rodgers met at the line of scrimmage, picked up perhaps a yard. Red Bryant there as clock continues to roll, closing in on 4:30 to go.
And Matt Ryan will orchestrate these huddle calls in a way that brings the clock down almost to just 1 or 2 seconds before he gets the snaps off. Right up here, here's the play clock. You can watch that as Matt Ryan will bring as much play clock down as he can. Getting 1 more first down would be huge for this team. They want a lot more, but right now 1 more first down, just 1 first down at a time.
Pitch it to Rodgers. Well, what a job by the Seattle defense. Browner, the first man there to spin him around. So a very important 3rd down coming up.
This comes out of the playbook from last year. This is a classic Mike Mularkey, Pittsburgh Steelers style of play with that quick flip to the bunch side. Seattle doing a nice job of holding up on the edge and not getting him outside.
Well, this could be the biggest down of the game. I mean, obviously there have been scoring downs, scoring plays, but as you said, Brian, they get a first down here and Seattle's in a world of trouble.
You always want to know where Tony Gonzalez is in this situation.
3rd down and 8 They need to get to the 42-yard line. And will not do it. Incomplete on a throw to Roddy White. And once more, Matt Bryant and the Falcons offense cannot sustain a drive to put this game on ice.
Matt needed to keep this throw a little high and outside. Ooh. That's a tough catch, even for a Roddy White.
That's where he had to throw it, though, wasn't it?
Well, if he'd have kept it high and outside, it would have been a lot easier. Obviously, with the trailing defender, you don't want it to trail at all. But high and outside would have been a safe throw and a little bit easier catch.
Leon Washington. Another very short punt by Bosher. And Washington up to the 39-yard line. That's where the last Seahawks drive began. We invite you to stay tuned following our coverage here on Fox from Atlanta for the Broken City postgame show.
Well, I want to see again if Atlanta is going to take care of that intermediate area, that 12 to 20-yard area behind the linebackers in front of the free safety, because that's where Seattle has been making their money. They didn't in the last series. I'd be surprised if they don't come back to it.
Been a very, very quiet day for Marshawn Lynch. We said it a moment ago. 7 times this year, Seattle had a chance to win with under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. We're under 3 minutes now. They won 4 of those 7 games, 3 of them against Green Bay, Chicago, and New England on Russell Wilson touchdowns. Wilson looking around. Catch is made. Lynch trying to get to the first down stick at the 49-yard line, and it is very close, right on it.
The chains are that side. They did not, it looks like, and the chains are on that side. It's easy to see. They're going to let this thing likely come down to the 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
2 minutes to go. Does Russell Wilson have a touchdown, game-winning touchdown drive in it? Russell Wilson this year, the first rookie quarterback. 3 game-winning touchdowns in the first quarter or overtime. Most since a merger in 1970. Can he do it here in the postseason? 2 minutes to go in Atlanta, and Seattle down by 6. Wilson looking, and he finds in the middle of the field Golden Tate, who spins out of 1 tackle, and that's a first down to the 32-yard line.
That's that intermediate area I'm talking about, in behind the linebackers. This is what has been killing Atlanta of late. Nice job keeping it alive instead of scrambling, looking down the field. It is that 15 to 20-yard area that right now has been a real vulnerability for the Atlanta Falcons.
Under a minute 30. Wilson, a pump fake, looking, and now he'll run it. And dives ahead to the 27 and quickly try to get his team up to the line of scrimmage. 3 timeouts remaining, 1:10 to go. Well, one can only wonder what is going through the mind of Mike Smith right now. And they're huddling up.
Yeah, I don't know why at the very least you don't use one of those timeouts. They've got 3 of them. They let a lot of clock run off in that series.
That goes off with 50 ticks left. Wilson down the middle. And it's incomplete. Threw it in between Miller and McCoy. His 2 tight ends.
Now on 3rd down, if they don't convert here, you're in that distance where you could think field goal, onside kick, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think you're in 4-down territory here, unless, of course, you get sacked out of, right now you're sitting here at a 3rd and, what is it, a 3rd and 5, you get sacked out of it, that would change the equation. This is likely 4-down territory.
Blitz coming. Wilson escapes the tackle. Will get the first down and then some to Lynch, who's stuck in the end zone. And run out of bounds at the 5-yard line. They'll call it the 4-yard line. 34 seconds remain.
Atlanta brought pressure, could not get home. Russell Wilson escaping to the outside and just dropping it off to Marshawn Lynch. Look at, they bring the pressure, and now just the athleticism of stepping away. That had sack written all over it, with Sean Weatherspoon almost getting home to Russell Wilson.
Ball inside the 4.
He has yet to pull the ball out in the read option and keep it.
And timeout is called. A flag down, I beg your pardon. A penalty flag down. Or was timeout called before the flag?
12 men on defense.
Wow. Wow.
Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
Wow. So that takes it from inside the 4 to just outside the 1. Look at these numbers for Wilson. His team shut out in the first half. 378 passing yards. A postseason Seahawks franchise record. And now, with 34 seconds left, trying to get to the end zone.
He has yet to get into the read option and keep the ball. This would be a heck of a place to do it.
They just give it to Lynch, who fumbled the ball, but then it's picked up by Under for a Seattle touchdown. And now the officials are conversing over this. They will gather at the 1-yard line. Boy, Marshawn Lynch, was he already in before the ball was jarred loose on the hit by William Moore, eventually landing in the arms of Unger?
I'm not sure that ball crossed the plane before it started to move.
But of course, either way, Seattle gets the ball.
But there's a whole bunch of difference between a touchdown and Seattle having to do it again right there. I don't know if we see the ball coming out before it crosses the plane.
And when it lands like it did, you ask yourself, is Seattle indeed the team of destiny in this 2012-13 postseason? Well, Mike Pereira, this was a rule they put in after the Dave Casper famous fumble many years ago with the Oakland Raiders. Tell us what's going on here.
Remember, inside of 2 minutes, only the fumbling player can recover a football in front of the fumble spot. So if they rule this a fumble, they would have to go back and give Seattle the ball at the spot of the fumble. Personally, I think the ball broke the plane before it knocked loose.
So Walt Coleman with the
After
verdict.
reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The ball broke the plane of the goal line prior to coming loose. Touchdown.
So it was a touchdown for Marshawn Lynch. And that pretty much tells you the overwhelming feeling here in Atlanta. A point after to give Seattle the lead. Ryan Longwell, just brought in this week after the injury to Stephen Hauschka, has not really been a factor at all, has not attempted a field goal in the game. But now the point after from a kid who grew up rooting for the Seahawks as a kid in Seattle. And it's good. Stunned disbelief here in Atlanta. The Seahawks lead by 1. 31 seconds left, 28-27 Seattle. No one, starting with Mike Smith, could have seen this coming, up by 20.
Well, for Seattle to respond emotionally, let alone the execution on the field after what happened in the first half. We've talked forever about going West Coast to East Coast for Washington game, having to go back, coming to the East Coast again for the Atlanta game. You could have understood Seattle not having the energy to finish this off. But right now, kudos to the Seattle Seahawks for emotionally fighting back and taking a 1-point lead.
Of course, Atlanta has 2 timeouts left, and here's Jaquiz Rodgers. And he's out across the 15 to the 20 and up to the 25 and the 27. So 25 seconds remain. Matt Ryan has 2 timeouts left. We saw them pull off one of their great comebacks in franchise history out of timeouts with under a minute 2 years ago against Chicago. Tony Gonzalez never with a playoff win. Matt Ryan 0 for 3. Likewise for Mike Smith. This is their third straight time of the playoffs in his 5 years, their fourth time overall.
The timeouts allow them to go to the middle of the field should they choose. Otherwise, you're looking at deep outside routes.
Ryan steps up, throws, and the catch is made by Harry Douglas, and ends to the 48-yard line, and a timeout.
And this is exactly how they came back in the Chicago game with a deep outside throw. I believe it was to Michael Jenkins from before. And now they're within 15 yards of a makeable field goal with one timeout.
Stay tuned. Following our game coverage for the Broken City post-game show. 19 seconds left. Career long for Matt Bryant is 62 yards. That means you'd have to get roughly to the 45-yard line. But let's be honest about it. 62, the chances are pretty slim.
And I say again, with one timeout, it leaves you the option of throwing the ball in the middle of the field should you choose, rather than having to make the outside throw like we just saw.
Bryant's season long is 55. Ryan caught by Gonzalez. Well within field goal range now. One timeout left. Ryan trying to get him to the line of scrimmage. Nope, they're going to call timeout. Leading by 20. Atlanta has the lead. Get away from him. Seattle goes up by 1 with less than a minute, and now Matt Bryant will have a chance to send Atlanta to the NFC Championship game.
And Tom, if Matt Bryant makes this field goal, how much will this do for this franchise and Matt Ryan? We've talked about the pressure on Matt Ryan. If they'd have just kept this thing going and made it a rout, sure, it would have been a great win. But how about if they can pull this off now with Matt Ryan making 2 big throws to bring them back and win this game?
Keep an eye on Red Bryant, number 79. He has 5 blocked field goals in his career. This one will be from 49 yards away.
And he has sliced up the middle of this field goal team, or PAT attempts, twice already. He hasn't gotten home, but he's sliced through pretty good.
Josh Harris, the snapper. The holder is his punter, Matt Bosher, and timeout was called before that kick got away. Timeout was called by Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's looking around saying, who called timeout?
Somebody called timeout. And again, a veteran kicker will tell you, if you're going to let me get the kickoff, thank you. Because you just gave me a mulligan. You just gave me a chance to size it up. You want to get that thing called so they don't actually get it snapped and kicked. Right now, Pete's wondering who called the timeout. Well, I don't know. It looks pretty straightforward there, unless he whispered in here and says, I'm not calling a timeout. Forget it.
Right, that's a good point. All right, here we go again. 13 seconds left. 49 yards away from Matt Bryant. From the right hash. Good snap. Good hold. And it is good.
Wow. Folks, that. You look at Mike Smith there. That's why that hair is that color. You last long enough in this league. What a comeback. What a game. And as I said, it would have been one thing to run them out of the house. But boy, I tell you what, to bring it back this way. Now, we still got 8 seconds on the board. But boy, what a sequence of events for the Atlanta Falcons, for Matt Ryan, for Mike Smith, Arthur Blank, and what that will do for this franchise if they can hold on to the win.
49-yarder by Bryant. We had a lengthy safety visit with him the other day and talked about being cut loose by Tampa Bay. Went and played in the USL. Hoping to get another chance, and since coming to Atlanta, he's been money.
You got to give kudos to the Seattle Seahawks now. They could have been out of this game a dozen different times. Both these teams responding in a championship caliber way. It's regrettable only one can win.
But still not over. 8 seconds remain.
You got to squib this one. You don't give Leon Washington a chance to crank this one up.
They've got Doug Baldwin and Golden Tate up in front of him. Robert Turbin there as well. And a very short kick that is knocked down by the front line of Seattle. And now all of a sudden you have 6 seconds left. Holy mackerel.
Well,
who has the football is where we start.
Wow.
But now all of a sudden Seattle is conceivably a pass reception away. What happened here, Bryant?
Well, I can't imagine this was the plan, because you've got to be around the 50, the 45 to even think about trying the Hail Mary. Otherwise, you're just out of range. I can't believe the plan wasn't to kick that a little deeper. I said it was going to be a squib, but you wanted to squib down around the 30 outside of the range with 6 seconds left to not give them the chance at this Hail Mary.
Well, Atlanta, Brian, do you not have a chance? Do you not have time enough to run say a sideline route and then a chance for a field goal? I mean, it's only a field goal from winning.
Yeah, you do. But in 6 seconds, you're going to cut it awfully close. And Atlanta recognizes anything in the middle of the field, it's done. You got no chance of coming up and running a play.
They got Julio Jones all the way back, and they complete a pass, and out of bounds with 2 seconds left is Baldwin. That would still be, what, a 65-yard field goal try for Longwell. His career long is 55, and well, they needed to get more yardage than that if that was their only shot before a field goal chance.
Yeah, this makes it a little easier to take a shot at a Hail Mary. And you know what the odds of that are, but of course this team has lived it on the reverse side of it. Wow.
The miracle win over Green Bay during the regular season. Now the throw to the end zone. It's intercepted by Julio Jones, and the Atlanta Falcons will play in the NFC Championship game for the first time since 2004. And for Mike Smith, Matt Ryan, Tony Gonzalez, collectively, individually, their first postseason win.
And that win, this win right here, legitimizes the Seattle Seahawks as the #1 seed and makes them the team to beat.
Let's go downstairs to Laura.
All right, thanks, Tom. All right, Matt Ryan, for almost 4 years, you have had to answer the question, what does it feel like to have never won a playoff game? Let me be the first to ask you, how much lighter you feel right now with that monkey that jumped right off of your back?
I feel good. I mean, that was a wild game. It really was. And Russell Wilson played unbelievable. He played so hard. And our guys, we just didn't quit. We just kept playing and made some plays on that last drive. It was huge.
Matt, we talked so much about the bad and the pressure that came out of the last playoff losses. What came out of it that's good that you took today to withstand that Seattle rally?
I think everybody's just hardened. You know, everybody's got a thicker skin. And, you know, it proved today. We got out to an early lead. They battled back, got into it, and we just kept fighting and found a way to win.
How long are you going to celebrate, and then how long do you start turning your attention to San Francisco's defense?
Soon. That's a good defense, so we'll get that. Enjoy it for a little bit, but get back to work. We've got some more work to do.
Thanks, Matt. Congratulations. Tom, back to you.
Well, Brian, you have known Mike Smith for many, many years. You gave him his first shot in the NFL. Congratulations to Smith and the Falcons and Tony Gonzalez tasting the playoff win.